Let's just focus in on Tua, who is at number 1 on your mock draft. And as you start looking at the tape, what makes you confident that he will be the top quarterback and maybe top player taken next year?
He's just such a pure, accurate passer. It's fun to watch. Now, listen, he's got weapons. He's protected well. And there's a lot going on around him that allows him to be successful. And he struggled a little bit down the stretch. I think durability is going to be the one thing that we're concerned about. But if you just watch him throw the football, the different arm angles, the trajectory, the touch, accuracy, he is one of the most natural young passers that I've ever seen come into college football. And he has an element of mobility. He's not Kyler Murray, but he is a quarterback that can extend plays and create with his feet when he needs to.
Quickly, before I bring this to the table, I want to ask you one more on him because I feel like his stock, which at one point last year was as high as anyone I can remember in college football in recent memory, fell as the season went on. There were some injury concerns, and the play seemed to slip a little bit. What does the tape show?
Yeah, I think he got beat up. And it started at a game that we were covering against Missouri. He took a hit and kind of wasn't the same, and I don't know that he trusted his knee completely. So I think that was part of it. That's why I mentioned durability. That's going to be something to keep an eye on. He is just over 6 feet. He's probably, he's stocky. He's built well, about 215, I would guess. But he's someone that you're going to have to obviously protect, and he's going to have to protect himself as well. But ultimately, when he is close to 100%, this guy, he is a special passer.
All right, McShay, sit there a minute for me if you would. I want to come back to you, but I want to bring it over here to each of you because I have questions for you both. Laura covers the SEC for us all season long for us at ESPN and hosts the show on the SEC Network. So you've probably seen as much of Tua Tagovailoa as literally anyone. And I know you spent some time with him recently. What did he tell you?
Yeah, so first of all, Tua's super motivated heading into this year. And I think the chip on his shoulder should not be discounted. He's going to go out there and want to light this entire college football world on fire. But one of the things with Steve Sarkisian coming in as the offensive coordinator there at Alabama, some people say, oh, he's had all these different coaches while he's been there. Well, Tua actually thinks that's an advantage when it comes to the NFL level. He says getting exposure to all of these different offensive minds not only prepares him from that standpoint on the field, but also prepares him for what he may see in the NFL, because he said there's so much coaching changeover in the NFL. He's very prepared for that. Also, Sark, coming over from the NFL level and being there recently, has really worked with him on eye discipline, specifically timing up the eye discipline with his feet, which allows for more comfort in the pocket. Tua ready to be even more accurate than he was last year.
And so, Neek, do you believe in the phrase tanking for Tua? Do you think someone will do it?
I think someone may do it, and I think it would be a wise thing to do. But instead of thinking about how much leverage the teams have in order to get to Tua, why don't we consider how much leverage Tua may have to force his way to the team that he goes to? I know this is a bit off-putting to some people, but I think that everything that these players have worked for, particularly the quarterbacks who are highly ranked, everything that they work for, they're then going to entrust it to some other organization, some new coaches, some new general managers, and some new teammates. I think if these guys decided to take the Eli Manning model and use that leverage to go to the team that they want, it will work out. And Eli's a great example because no one will tell you that Eli Manning is a better quarterback than Phillip Rivers. But Eli Manning is a 2-time Super Bowl champion, is going to go to the Hall of Fame in part because he picked an organization that he wanted to go to. And we're always going to think about Phillip Rivers, unless something changes in the next couple of years, we're going to think about Phillip Rivers as a great passer who could never win the big one. So I think it matters significantly, and I would encourage these players to try to use whatever leverage they can to get to a situation that benefits them.
To be clear, what you're telling us is that if the team that has the first pick in the draft seems dysfunctional and as though it might not be in his best interest, he should just say, I don't want to go there, let that be known, and try and force his way somewhere else.
Absolutely. I mean, would you advise against that? I go back to Eli Manning as a guy whose father and brother have history in this league, so they understand how important that situation is, and they're not just going to leave it up to chance. I would advise my kid or anyone who had that type of leverage in any profession, frankly, if I were a doctor coming out of med school and I had opportunities to go to one place, one hospital that was well-run or a hospital that was not well-run, I would go to the one that was well-run.
Yeah, Eli not the only one who's done that.
Right,
I remember John Elway doing that, threatening to play baseball and other things. So we will see. Let me get McShay back into this conversation here, and we can go back again to the 2020 mock draft, which is up on ESPN.com, because you have other quarterbacks to keep an eye on, including one more going in the first round. Take us through those.
Yeah, Justin Herbert from Oregon is the other quarterback that I expect to be in the first round at some point. I think he made a great decision to go back to school. He was inconsistent last year, and I don't think at the end of the day that he would be as ready in 2019 as he will be in 2020 to play at the NFL level. And really, it's all about finding the right time and being ready. You know, the second contract is where you make all your money. And so if you're able to be a starter and have success by that second contract, I think that's when you're successful in the league. Not if you come in, make good money, obviously, but then are out of the league in 3-4 years. So I think Herbert made a good decision to stick in college, play one more season, and I think it's a smart move for him.
And then I'm taking a look at the screen here, Jerry Jeudy. Who's the best player in this draft? Is it Jeudy?
He might be. This guy's a freak. Everyone's talking about Tua. Check out how open his receivers are. I mean, you got Ruggs on one side who's running a 4.2. Jerry, I think in the spring ran in the high 4.4s and just is an outstanding route runner for a young receiver. So you could have Alabama with 3 wide receivers eventually becoming first-round draft picks in the next 2 years, I would say. And Jeudy, to me, is the most complete of that group.
Alabama is loaded. How will next year's draft be completely different from this year?
I think it's those playmakers, Greeny. I really do. I mean, from starting with Jerry Jeudy, but then just even working down. C.D. Lamb from Oklahoma is a big-time playmaker who kind of got overshadowed by Marquise Brown. You got Laviska Shenault, who at Colorado is a huge playmaker and really was a one-man show for a lot of the season last year. You got Team Martin, the wide receiver from Clemson, who's a big-time player. So there's a lot of wide receivers and running backs in this year's class that we're looking at now that could project as first-round picks, whereas last year we were really stretching. We had one in the first 31 picks. The Patriots took N'Keal Harry at 32 from Arizona State, but one wide receiver in the first 31 picks of the draft, that's unusual.